welcome back to my channel. This is Pearl the Fairy Girl ASMR, and my name is Pearl. Hi, what's up? So, yeah, we're going to continue today or tonight with our Fairytale series, and this time around I have a very special treat. I have this soy candle, and it's got, it's a nice sound. It has a wooden wick, which means that it's going to make that really nice crackling sound. Oh my gosh. Every time I look at, or like every time I open this candle, I always remember that I was gonna say a bad person, but like, I'm not, I promise you. So this candle, when I bought it, it didn't have a lid on it. So before I went to the register, I took this this top from a different candle and just put it on top. Nobody had to know. So anyways, yeah, don't be like me. Let's go ahead and light the candle. I really hope that you enjoy this video. I hope that this helps you feel better, or makes your day or night or afternoon even better. I hope that you had a good one. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead, making sure I'm in frame. I'm gonna go ahead and light it with my lighter. There we go. Oh, the flame's burning kind of low today. Listen, the first time I lit it, it was like way up here. Isn't it nice? So, yes, we're going to let this sit on the side while we enjoy a little bit of story time. Sorry. So, I'm just going to take a couple deep breaths for myself because I feel like I've been a little bit wound up just in my head a lot. So, you're welcome to join in. Let me start over. You're welcome to join in if you'd like. So just close your eyes, feel what it feels like to be in your body. And then just breathe into your nose. Down through the mouth. I feel really sleepy now. Okay, so let's go ahead and get the stories going. I have the book right here. It's kind of awkward to hold it. Let's go ahead and get it open. Okay, so we got our candle. The flame doesn't really show too well in the camera, but that's okay. Just gonna have it in the back here. And let's go ahead and open the book up. Cinderella. But now I kind of want to read. Should we read Rapunzel? I don't know. You know what? I kind of want to do George and the Dragon because I talked about it. I was thinking about it earlier, and because I had mentioned that I'm not really familiar with that story, I think I wanted to read that one. So there's Goldilocks. I was thinking of that one too. I think this is it. No. Here we go. Okay, so we have George and the Dragon. This is adapted by Brian Conway and illustrated by Tammy Spear Laya. This is the tale of George and the Dragon, a story that has been told for more than 15 centuries. It takes place during a time called the Dark Ages, when kings ruled the land, wizards cast spells, and monsters roamed free. This story begins in the land of fairies. The queen of the fairies had taken in young George when he was abandoned as a baby. The fairies raised George to be brave and strong. They taught him to be a noble knight, skilled with a sword, but even more skilled with his mind. In time, the queen of the fairies called George to see her. It was time for George to seek his destiny. We have a beautiful illustration of the fairies. Maybe this is why I wanted to read this story. It was calling to me. The fairies were calling to me. But yes, here we go. Oh, I like this book. It has full page illustrations. Okay. Your journey begins today, she told him. You will have many adventures ahead, to be sure. You should not expect an easy path. Life is seldom easy. The queen of the fairies spoke kindly to young George. The world is filled with monsters and battles. You will meet kings and paupers, wizards and witches, evil princes and kind princesses, she said. As you travel, you must always remember one thing, the queen added, tapping George's silver battle helmet. Your greatest weapon is your brain. It's very true. Then George set off. He traveled for weeks. As he approached a town called Selene, he noticed the land had changed from lush and green to dark and desolate. It seemed the ground had been crossed by fire. There was no grass, only the darkest mud. The trees were bare and black, and a foul stench filled the air. George made his way through the bleak landscape until he saw a castle in the distance. A high, solid wall surrounded the castle and the small city around it. The gate was closed up tight. A beautiful woman approached George. You must leave here, she warned. It isn't safe. But I'm a brave knight here to help you, George said. It is my destiny. I will assist you at all costs. Alas, sir, the woman replied, you are but one man. I fear that you cannot help. I will not leave, said George. Please, let me try. "I am Princess Sabra," she said. "Come with me." Princess Sabra explained why the kingdom lived in such fear. A wicked dragon lived in the caves of the nearby forests, she told him. A horrible beast was ravaging the land and eating all of the animals. Here's the artwork. You know what artwork this reminds me of? If you give a mouse a cookie. Because I remember the mouse had a face just like this. Am I wrong? In fact, I think I have that story. Guess which story we're reading? No, we're not going to read that one. We're going to finish every story in this book first. Maybe. So. Alright, let's go ahead and continue on. The princess explained that when the dragon finished eating the animals, he would certainly look for a new source of food. When that happened, the townspeople were in danger of becoming the dragon's next meal. "There must be something we can do," George said. Sabra told George of a cave in the dark forest where a wise old hermit lived. She thought that he might be able to help. They found the cave and entered quietly. Sabra and George crept up to the old hermit, who stared into his fire. He did not look at them, but he began to chant. Long ago, it was told, 2 brave souls would come to know the only way to save the rest. The serpent's weakness is in his breath. With those words, an hourglass appeared at their feet. They were puzzled, but the hermit would speak no more. Here's the picture, the hourglass they spoke of. George and Sabra left the cave. They knew they must hurry to the dragon's lair. They had to get there while the dragon slept. It was their only chance. "The hermit speaks in puzzles," Sabra sighed. "What will we do with this ancient timepiece?" George studied the hourglass. "The hourglass will lead us," George whispered. "We must wait until all the sand has dropped through." George and Sabra found their way to the lair. The dragon was asleep as they entered, but not for long. Suddenly, the dragon stirred. It stood and rubbed its eyes. George watched as George watched as the very last grain of sand dropped through the hourglass. The glass turned icy cold. At that moment, the dragon yawned a great fiery yawn. George knew this was his chance. He threw the hourglass into the dragon's mouth. And there's our boy George, throwing the hourglass into the dragon's mouth. The hourglass broke apart on the dragon's tongue in a cloud of icy mist. The dragon was furious. He looked down to see George and Sabra. Then he stretched out his body before veering back to hurl a fiery blast at them. To the great relief of George and Sabra, but to the horror of the dragon, only soft snow came from the great beast's mouth. The dragon took a deep breath and tried again, but his mouth was suddenly frozen, shut tight with ice. The hourglass had been filled with magical icy sand. The dragon jumped into the deep, warm lake to keep from freezing from the inside out. That dragon never bothered another soul. Some have seen him come up for air on occasion, but only on very warm nights. The dragon would not dare stay out of the warm water for too long, for fear of becoming an icy statue. George and Sabra had saved the kingdom. News of the dragon's defeat traveled back to the village. When George and Sabra returned, they were greeted with cries of joy and triumph. The grateful people of Selene were no longer prisoners in their own kingdom. The king offered George bags of gold in thanks, but George wanted no payment for his deeds. I have set out in this world to face many adventures and adversities, George told the people. Knowing that I was able to provide a service to those in need is reward enough for me. George continued on his journey. The legend of his bravery preceded him, but with every stop along the way, he added to the story with continued acts of bravery. Villages far and wide came to know George as the brave and noble knight that he was raised to be. There he is. Is that the end? It's the end. Oh my goodness. I think I want to read the next story. Okay, let's do 2 stories in one. Let's do it. Whee! So the next story I just peeped is The Princess and the Pea, and it's my favorite fairy tale. So as a treat to myself and a treat to you guys, I'm gonna go ahead and read this one too. I didn't think that George and the Dragon was going to be so short, so oh my gosh. Oh my goodness, this is like making me feel so much better. This is like, yes, this is definitely a treat for me. Look at the artwork. This is so nostalgic for me. Like, stop it. Stop. Okay. So we have, I'm literally so happy right now. It's just the little things, you know? The little things in life. So we've got the princess. Okay, I'm doing really bad job tracing. Princess Pea. I really don't like the way the paper feels on my fingers. It's like that feeling like if you were to like on a chalkboard though. Okay, so this is adapted by Michael P. Fertig, I don't know, and illustrated by Anthony Lewis. I'm so excited. Okay. In a land so far away that it would take as long to travel there from one direction as from another, there lived a young prince named Horatio. Prince Horatio was much admired for being kind and loyal, as well as smart, brave, and handsome. In short, he was a perfect prince. And as if that was not enough, he was also quite a stylish dresser, some would say. I am not some. Just thought I'd put that out there. All of the ladies in town wanted to marry Prince Horatio. Also, I would never want to marry somebody named Horatio. I'm sorry. I'm gonna be quiet. I'm gonna read the story. I'm just a little excited. So, anyways, he ain't even that cute. Alright, let me stop. It was well known throughout his kingdom that the prince was searching for a bride. But it was also well known that his mother was very particular about who she would allow her son to marry. Any woman who wished to wed any woman who wished to wed Prince Horatio must be a princess through and through. Okay, here's the artwork. Love the full pages. Oh, I remember this so much. Yes, okay, we'll get there. Okay. There are so many princesses these days, said the prince's mother. But only a real princess with a kind, generous, and delicate nature will be good enough for my dear Horatio. The prince was bothered by his mother's wish for him to find the perfect bride. But in truth, none of the princesses he had met held much interest for him. He simply had not yet met the girl of his dreams. On this particular dark and rainy evening, however, all of that was about to change. The prince was just getting ready to turn in for the night when there was a knock at the castle door. "Forgive me for the intrusion," said a lovely young woman, "but my carriage has lost a wheel in the road. Could I impose upon you for shelter this evening?" "Oh, of course," replied the prince. "Please, come in." There we've got a picture, his little nightcap. And then move the page over and you can see the carriage in the back. "Thank you very much," she said. "My name is Astrid. I am a princess from Wainscott, just over the hills." The prince led Princess Astrid to the castle's parlor where a fire was burning in the hearth, and the two sat down together. They immediately fell into conversation and talked well into the night. Before they realized it, the prince and the princess were holding each other's hands. Oh my gosh! Elsewhere in the castle, the prince's mother had devised a plan to determine whether Astrid was a real princess. It is a little known fact, but a real princess has such a delicate nature that she can detect even the slightest flaw in otherwise comfortable sleeping arrangements. So the queen So the queen hid a single uncooked pea underneath a stack of 20 of the softest mattresses in the kingdom. A true princess, one who lived up to the queen's standards, would certainly be able to detect the pea. This was one of my favorite pictures. I think I had counted before if there were really 20 mattresses. And I think there are. And I don't know, I just liked this kind of art style when I was a kid, and still now, obviously. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Okay. Oh, and this picture too. It's so nice. Oh, that makes me want to go to bed. Astrid was shown to her room. She climbed atop the 20 mattresses, hoping to dream of Prince Horatio. But sleep would not come. Aware that something was not right, Astrid climbed down and slipped her arm beneath the bottom mattress. She pulled out the pea and said, "Aha! Just as I thought. Now for some rest." In the morning, the queen asked how Astrid had slept. "I was quite uncomfortable at first," Astrid admitted, "but then I discovered a pea under the mattresses. After I removed it, I slept very well." The prince and his mother exchanged glances. In a flash, Prince Horatio was on his knee proposing to the beautiful Princess Astrid. Much to the dismay of the unwed ladies of the kingdom, Princess Astrid accepted. The couple remains happily married to this very day. Which is a lie, because they would be dead. But anyways, I think that is the end of this story as well. I don't know why these stories are so short all of a sudden, but yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, so the next page is the next story, but I really hope that you enjoyed this video thus far. This is going to conclude our reading for today. I am going to go ahead and blow this candle out and get in the shower and take a nice long one. get in my bed and go to sleep. So I wish you guys sweet dreams, and I'm sending you much love. And make sure you stay in love. I'll see you in my next video. Take care of yourselves. Bye.